And I'm gonna.
Oh, yeah. Mine should be the same as last time. I don't know if that helps you, but yeah, it should be if I sent it last time.
Well,
Uh,
are you talking to me? Or are you talking to Pete?
to Pete.
Okay. I have Pete muted, so if he's saying anything, I can't hear him.
Oh. Oh. Okay, well. Yeah, one of them is gonna be me because I haven't changed mine in like over a year. So, so if I leave it on, I leave that window open in my phone all the time in like a group of tabs, and then it just never changes.
Yeah, Blake figured out the hack for sure.
I did. Listen, anybody who hacked into like if somebody hacked into mine while it was happening, they would quickly turn away. Because like let's be honest, at my most incriminating, nobody wants to see that. We're live, aren't we? I've said all of this to
Oh, we
YouTube,
are.
haven't I?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Whatever.
Definitely have.
Whatever. No big deal.
All right. I'm just going to hold on a second. Hey, that'd be helpful to be able to hear. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna hop right into it. You ready?
Yep.
What a wild, wild season we're getting in 2022. I almost feel like I should preface this podcast by saying that we know nothing. And if you continue to listen to us, first off, why? And second off, thank you. But as always, I'm your host, Devin Primrose, joined by my brother from another mother, Mr. Blake Ivy. What is going on, man?
Man, I don't think anybody knows what's going on. Like, let's be honest. Nobody picked the Jets to come back win over the Browns this week. Nobody was picking the Falcons to almost come back and beat the Rams.
Dude,
There's so much of this past weekend that nobody was predicting. So I don't feel bad, you know? This has been a wild 2 weeks of football. This week potentially wilder than last week. I
yeah.
mean, I think that what we saw was, I don't know, just super weird.
Yeah. You have to be feeling pretty good though about your Falcons. That
I do.
I know they're sitting at 0-2, but their combined loss has been by 5 points.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, it's
that has
like,
to feel pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good 0-2.
Right.
If there can be such a thing, it's a good 0-2. You know, like they're
Yeah.
close losses to teams that they weren't supposed to beat in the first place.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's there's just craziness going on all over. And you know, we kind of have a little bit of a new thing going this week. Our good buddy Peter, if you've been in the Discord, he wanted to be on the podcast real bad apparently. So he
Once wasn't enough.
because we both chose the Chargers in Thursday night game, which if you haven't watched the game, spoiler alert, we were wrong. He proposed that he gets to be on the podcast if the Chiefs win. And
but like win handily. Like we didn't just say sure if they squeak out a win.
So we set some parameters, basically that either Patrick Mahomes had to have a ridiculous night, going for like 450 yards passing and 4 touchdowns and no picks,
which he did not. He had a very average night by his standards,
or
if not below average.
The defense had to have a spectacular night, meaning that they either had to have multiple turnovers or a pick six. And one of those things happened. So And the caveat on all of these was that the Chiefs did have to win, but
Right.
they had to have that in addition to all of these parameters. And
Yeah.
one of those did happen. So we lost that little bet. And I think this is a cool little segment. I'm calling it the 2-minute drill because we're giving Pete 2 minutes to berate us for our idiocracy, I guess. But
In his mind, yes.
But it's something that I would be interested in doing in the future. So if we have some ridiculous take on the podcast, or some take that you think is ridiculous, and you want to propose something to be on the pod, I say go for it, and we'll give you parameters as for that happening, and we'll invite you back for our next 2-minute drill. But I'm going to bring in old Pete right now, and we're going to get this 2-minute drill started.
And you get 2 minutes uninterrupted. Remember, this is a family safe broadcast, but you get 2 uninterrupted minutes.
So what's going on, Pete?
A win's a win. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to be nice. I know, despite meeting the parameters, it was super close. I'll even admit, in almost every aspect, the Chargers did play better than the Chiefs. They had more passing yards, more rushing yards, all that kind of stuff. I will say, though, when I did the AFC West predictions with you guys, I did say that a big factor with the Chiefs that's giving them an edge over everybody is the coaching. And I think that's made itself apparent these couple weeks. I always figured Josh McDaniels was going to be a non-factor with the Raiders, and I thought the Raiders were going to be good despite that. But clearly that's not the case. They can't hold on to the ball in game-winning situations. So they're a mess over there in Las Vegas. Nathaniel Hackett and the Broncos have all the talent they could possibly need and just don't know how to play football, apparently. So Nathaniel Hackett, the Denver Broncos, even with Russell Wilson, are also just a mess. Brandon Staley, these first couple weeks, has made a lot of steps, I think, from last year. However, his greed did show again, and I think that's what led to the pick six. If he missed the play, they were on a drive that looked like it was going to end in a touchdown. They were rushing down the field, no huddle. Gerald Everett got like a, 20, 30-yard reception that put him on the 6.
That sounds about right.
That man was tired. He was getting up. He was breathing hard. He was literally calling for a sub. And Brandon Staley either didn't see it or ignored it because he, I guess, forgot his players were human beings and just was like, go, go, go. Because the offensive line looked tired too. Because they let all the Chiefs come through on that play. Justin Herbert had to get rid of the ball. Jalen Watson jumped ahead of it and got the pick six. And that's why, again, I didn't want to necessarily come in and gloat. I'm being nice. You're not getting my full biased self in these 2 minutes. But I just want to say that I think I was right where the coaching is what gives the edge in the AFC West. In a division that's so stacked with talent, it's who can put that talent to the best use. And I think the Chiefs have been able to do that the best so far these 2 weeks.
Well, that wasn't as ridiculous of a 2 minutes as I was expecting, and I don't disagree with you.
Good.
Yeah, that was solid. I do like your take on the old hack job out in Denver, because it is not looking good. I do have a hot take on that I think the Denver Broncos maybe counted the eggs in their basket before they were actually there. In hiring Nathaniel Hackett and assuming that Aaron Rodgers would follow, because that is not what happened, and it has not looked good out there through 2 games. I think that man is off to maybe the worst start that a coach has ever had in the NFL, and is quickly looking like he's going to get fired and be a one-and-done candidate.
Ooh.
Yeah. But yeah.
I mean, they were getting booed at their home opener because they couldn't beat the Texans,
Yeah.
till the very last second of the game. So,
well, Pete, congrats on your victory.
They did it against
well
all
earned.
of our odds, at least. and it was because of their defense. They got a pick six. That was the game game winner. So
yeah.
AFC still runs through Kansas City.
The Chiefs defense looked good all night. I mean, they were getting solid pressure on Herbert for most of that game. Now, Herbert is as a great quarterback, and so he was still able to make plays happen. Because Chargers are a good team, and it was a close game. And I do feel like maybe the outcome would be a little different if Herbert was full strength down the stretch. But that's football,
And if their
that's
offensive line wasn't injured too, they were without two of their starters on the offensive line, which to me that's what makes a football team. Well, and I'll get into more of that later. But yeah, I'm not gonna make excuses, okay? Because the offensive line didn't get a pick six.
Right.
The Chiefs did. So
right. Well, solid first candidate for our 2-minute drill. Thanks for coming on, Pete. Always a pleasure to have you around.
Of course, it's always fun to be here. I'll do a different team next time. I'll say the Jags are going to beat somebody else,
which is entirely possible at this point. Who knows?
All right,
man. Take it easy.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I do like having that little segment. That wasn't supposed to happen. I do like having that little segment. I'm interested in finding a way to keep it going. So if you're in our Discord, give us some suggestions. Give us some propositions.
You can hit us up on Facebook with some. If you're like, hey, you guys are dinguses.
Yeah.
Here's what I think is going to happen, and if you are, if we were way wrong and you were way right, then you can come on and gloat for 2 minutes.
Yeah. It's a good idea. Give me just a second because my dog is going crazy, and I've got to let her out.
That's fine. Go for it.
All right, Lou, let's go outside.
I'm looking up our injuries. Looking up to see if there's any injuries that we need to be aware of. Trying to see if the Los Angeles Chargers.
What's up?
I was looking at the offensive line injuries. But it's always hard because it's like, I don't know if that's a starter or backup. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, especially on the offensive line.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I say
cartilage for Justin Herbert. I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah,
that's a new thing.
Well, I say we jump over into our best of the booth. You want me to start? Yeah. You want to go first?
You could go first. We got some big best of the booth.
I mean,
so
obviously, my best of the booth has to go to someone in that Dolphins-Ravens game because that game was insane. For some reason, I'm not complaining here. This is actually a good thing. My wife has decided to get into football, finally.
That's great.
It's taken 8 years of us being together for me to finally convince her. And she has chosen the Baltimore Ravens as her team. So,
well, it's where she's from.
Right. It makes sense. So this is a game that I watched probably 95% of. And there was all kinds of fantastic performances, but one stood out among the rest, and that was the play of one former Alabama quarterback, Mr. Tua Tagovailoa. The dude went 36 of 50. That's 72% completion percentage.
Crazy.
For 469 yards, 6 touchdowns with 2 picks. That's a QBR of 90. That's 90 out of 100. QBR scale goes to 100. He hit 90. Fantastic day for him. Obviously, he had to be my best of the booth. This is a quarterback performance for the ages. Down 28-7 at the half. And down 35-14 going into the fourth quarter. Tua somehow willed the Dolphins to an amazing come-from-behind 42-38 victory. Just a fantastic performance by him. I have to obviously give a shout-out to his top 2 wide receivers, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. They both had 11 receptions. Hill had 190 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Waddle, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns. And I can't go without mentioning the quarterback on the other team, Lamar Jackson, who also went off in this game. Lamar went 21 of 29 for 318 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and they picked up another 119 yards on the ground with 1 touchdown coming off of a long 79-yard run. Just a fantastic performance by both quarterbacks. A great, unexpectedly great game. I feel like we kind of looked over this game a little bit. Not me and you are not high on this Ravens team. I think a lot of it is because of the defense, which shut down in the fourth quarter.
Right.
That's largely for me. I do like the offense. I think the offense is going to be fun. Lamar is still a great quarterback. Mark Andrews had a heck of a day. Rashad Bateman kind of had a little bit of a coming out party as their second year wide receiver. I think this offense is fun to watch. I just don't know if they can be consistent. And the defense definitely has question marks for me. But the Dolphins, 2-0 under Mike McDaniel to start his tenure down there. He looks like a great hire, and I'm excited for them. They look good. They look good, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think best of the booth going to those 2 quarterbacks, and the offense is really is huge. You know, those teams had it was a gunslinging showdown. I mean, that was crazy.
Definitely.
I lost in fantasy football because a guy who had nobody else go over double digits had Tyreek Hill. So I lost.
I also lost. I also lost because I was facing Lamar Jackson and Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And my running backs got me 64 points combined between Chubb and Aaron Jones, and I still lost because I was facing Lamar Jackson and Tyreek Hill. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, and just in case anybody is wondering, I am a little under the weather, so if I sound congested and stuffy and sneezy, I am.
It's that time of the year, man.
It is, man. It's the most allergy time of the year. But anyway, I for my best of the booth, I don't think that I ever thought that I would look to this team for my best of the booth.
Yeah.
It's truly a surprise. Is the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, buddy.
Comes from the Lions of Detroit. I'm going Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I got to learn to say his name because I'm going to be saying a lot because this dude is an absolute monster. Jared Goff, former MVP candidate / former jobless quarterback, Jared Goff. He had 4 touchdowns, a QB rating. So
you're still muted, by the way.
A QB rating, which is the one that goes up to 153.8. He had a QB rating of 121, which was among the highest of any quarterback this week. 4 touchdowns, 121 quarterback rating. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He had 116 receiving yards, 68 rushing yards for 184 total yards from scrimmage, which, if I did the math and checked everything correctly, puts him at second to only Tyreek Hill in yards from scrimmage this week. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown was an absolute monster. And this is the Lions. Like, to me, this is why this is best of the booth, is coming into this season, although there were those of you who were hyped up, excited about, looking forward to the Lions, I don't think this kind of performance is what you were expecting.
Well, I mean, for me, like, I wasn't expecting this from Jared Goff. Jared Goff was the big question mark for me coming into the season. But I knew that offense could be frisky and fun to watch, mainly because they have playmakers like Amon-Ra St. Brown. TJ Hawkinson is not a scrub at tight end. DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams is one of the best 1-2 punches at running back in the entire league, in my opinion. And then you have a guy like DJ Chark, who has had time in the spotlight down in Jacksonville. He was a no-show in this game. I know because I have him in fantasy, and I played him, which was a terrible decision.
No points.
But he's not a bum either. I knew that this offense could be fun. The big question mark was Jared Goff. And on the other side of the ball, the defense has all kinds of questions, But that
Right.
defense has looked solid at times. They
Yeah.
slowed down this Washington offense, which also is a fun offense to watch. They slowed down this offense for most of the game. Aiden Hutchinson had 3 sacks in this game. I believe he's up to 4 so far in his young career, which is awesome for him through 2 games.
Yeah.
But outside of him, there's not a ton of playmakers on that defensive side.
Exactly.
So I still am worrisome of that moving forward. But this Detroit team scored 71 points through 2 games. I mean, they're and one of those games was against the Eagles, who just about shut out the Vikings last night.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that this Lions team might have one of the most complete offenses in the league.
Yeah.
Their offensive line is fantastic.
Yep.
And this is what we've said. We said last year a whole lot too, is there are some quarterbacks that you give them an offensive line and they're an MVP candidate. Derek Carr was that way. Matt Ryan is that way. Jared Goff, it seems like that's what it is he needs an offensive line. And most people do need an offensive line. But you know, those guys in particular are very offensive line dependent. That if they have a good offensive line, they're going to come out and give you MVP near level performances.
Absolutely.
And that's what we saw from Jared Goff this week. I mean, 4 touchdowns, 121 quarterback rating. I mean, I understand that it was against the commies, and like that was part of what made me hesitate to pick them for best of the booth. But then it's like, but it's the Lions. Like,
and they also
like give them the credit. They finally have done something.
Right.
And this is not like this is what we expect from the Lions. No, this is awesome. This is a new thing for Detroit. So I'm super excited for them and for this team. It's an exciting team.
Are you ready to crown the new era in Detroit? I think you said 3 wins. So I said by week 5, but
yeah, we gotta get past last year's win total before I say this is a new era of Detroit football. Because with you, I have some issues on the defensive side of the ball, but I mean, this offense looks like they can hang with anybody.
At the very least, they're a fun team. They're a fun team to watch. They're a fun team to root for. It is impossible not to like that group of guys that they've gotten together up there. And it all starts with the coaching staff. I mean, anybody who watched Hard Knocks this year, I think everybody fell in love with the coaching staff they assembled up there. And that all starts with Dan Campbell. I mean, from him all the way down to the players on the field, they have so many guys that it's just fun to root for. Good guys, good locker room type guys. So I'm here for Detroit. I think my world might implode if we get a Detroit versus Buffalo Super Bowl, which I know is like very, very far fetched. No, listen, I'm not rooting for that. I mean, I am rooting for it, but I'm not expecting that. I think that's very far fetched. But the way I feel about both those teams is like good for these guys. Like these guys deserve this. Those fans in Detroit have lasted for years and years and years without anything to root for, and the same goes for Buffalo. And Buffalo looks unstoppable. I mean, throughout all the craziness of this year, if there's one thing that I do know, it's that Buffalo is the best team in the NFL right now. I mean, they've allowed 17 points through 2 weeks and outscored their opponents like 80-17 almost. It's unbelievable what they're doing. But offensive line that you were talking about with Detroit. Is a good segue into my under review.
Who you got under review?
My under review has to go to the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line. That was their biggest bugaboo a year ago. The biggest problem that they supposedly went out and addressed by signing star tackle La'el Collins from Dallas.
Who came in and said, "Don't worry, your new bodyguard's in town. You're not getting sacked anymore." Well,
since he has allowed 13 sacks through 2 games.
Ooh.
13 sacks through 2 games. This new offensive line there is doing the same thing that they did a year ago. I don't know what's going on. Despite trying to fix the issue, since he still can't protect Joe Burrow. They've allowed 13 sacks through 2 games. They also haven't done star running back Joe Mixon, who I believe was top 3 in yards for running backs last year. He hasn't been able to do anything on the ground. He's only getting 3 yards per attempt. I know that it's difficult in back-to-back weeks. They've had to play two of the big front runners for Defensive Player of the Year in TJ Watt and then Micah Parsons. But the O-line has to be better. I think that all of Cincy's problems, at least on the offensive side, start with that offensive line not being able to protect the quarterback, not being able to help establish the run with Joe Mixon, and that offense can't do anything. Burrow is talented enough to still be able to put up a fight against the Steelers, to still be able to put up a fight against Dallas, but this is a team that should be doing a lot more than putting up a fight against two mid-level teams that are the Steelers and the Cowboys without Dak Prescott. Obviously, the Cowboys would not be a mid-level. They had a good quarterback. So I just don't know what they can do to fix that. I think some of it might be on Burrow for holding onto the ball too long, trying to make plays happen, but he's under pressure constantly.
Yeah. I wish there was a way for us to quantify pocket awareness because to me that has been something I might have mentioned it on the podcast, or maybe I was talking to you at some point and I mentioned it, that it's like there's a difference in guys like Drew Brees and Matt Ryan, that both of them were great throwers, but Drew Brees' pocket awareness, Tom Brady's pocket awareness,
right,
to know when to step up, how little he can just take 2 steps forward and he's good, he can reset and throw. And I just don't think Joe Burrow has that great of pocket awareness. I'm looking right now at Pro Football Reference's pocket time.
Yeah.
So this is for this year. The leader in pocket time is actually Justin Fields, has the most pocket time, which is average time QB had in the pocket between the snap and throwing the ball, or pressure collapses in the pocket. So right now Justin Fields has 3 seconds of pocket time. Last on the list is Josh Allen, has 1 second of pocket time. What?
Wow.
You're telling me that the best quarterback in the league, like, and it's not particularly up for discussion. Like,
that's
Josh Allen is the quarterback in the league, and he has the worst pocket time in the league.
Wow.
Right above him, Ryan Tannehill, 1.2 seconds. Right above him, Jalen Hurts, 1.2 seconds.
Wow.
So those are two guys who, I mean, they don't have a ton of pocket time. And then there's Joe Burrow at 2.1 seconds, and then Tom Brady at 2.2.
Does that account for, because like Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts are both mobile quarterbacks that like to pick up yards with the feet. Does that account for them going out of the pocket? Even if they're still standing back there to try and create a pass, does that count for them escaping the pocket?
It might. It might be like how much time between when they drop back and then they take off to escape pressure.
Because that would make sense.
That makes sense from those two guys, yeah.
Right.
But, and again, this is a metric that it's hard to measure, but I just think that Joe Burrow might not have the pocket awareness, because he just takes sacks a whole lot. Doesn't get rid of the ball as much. He likes to hang on to the ball and try to get the ball to his preferred target, and if not, just take the sack. So,
yeah,
I don't know, but you're right. Like, they absolutely have to clean it up if they want to be relevant at all this season. I mean, they've got to quickly figure out what they're doing on the offensive line, or they're going to be watching everybody else in the playoffs while they're sitting at home.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, because this is a Bengals team that, just like the Lions, they're fun to root for. They have a lot of good guys out there that you just can't help but wanting to see succeed. And they're the reigning AFC champions. I mean, they were just in the Super Bowl, 7 months ago. So,
and a team that was like rebuilding ahead of schedule.
Absolutely, absolutely. And maybe they did get there too soon, and they're just not quite on that level yet. And I've said before that it feels like going into this season that a lot of people were sleeping on the Bengals, and maybe deservedly so. I mean, honestly, with the way they've played through 2 games, it has not looked good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, who you got under review this week?
All right, I'm gonna take a deep breath, because I'm pretty heated. Under review, I have the maybe worst coach that I've ever. Okay, he's not Bobby Petrino. Bobby Petrino is the worst.
Not Urban Meyer either.
He's not Urban Meyer, but at least Urban Meyer might have had some football sense.
Oh, come on now.
Frank
Come on
Reich
now.
is just an idiot. He's just an idiot. There's no reason. There is no reason this Colts team should be sitting here at 0-1-1. None. There's no, especially that they got blown out by the Jaguars. Listen, here's why I'm blaming Frank Reich, okay? Both teams had 11 drives. This is not like, oh man, there were turnovers. There was a lot of, they had more. No. Both teams had 11 drives. The Jags had 19 more plays, 120 more yards. Jonathan Taylor had 9 carries. 9. You got the guy who led the league in rushing by like whatever it was, 500 yards or whatever.
Yeah.
That he led the league in rushing by. And instead, you're leaning on an average quarterback at this point, or at least an aging quarterback,
Right.
and Matt Ryan instead of the league leading rusher. Jacksonville dominated the time of possession. Matt Ryan was sacked 6 times, pressured 11 times, but they only ran the ball 13 times with Jonathan Taylor, who had 161 rushing yards a week ago. I'm done. I'm done with the Colts. As long as Frank Reich is the coach, I'm done. There's no need for me to pick them. There's no need for me to think that this team is going to do anything. They were 2 for 10 on third down, Devin. They were 2 for 10 on third down. How terrible is your play calling that you 80% of the time fail a third down conversion against the Jaguars? Like, no disrespect to the Jaguars. This is a team that is growing. They're improving. They've got a lot of young talent. Okay, I get it. But it's still the Jaguars. The Jaguars who got beat by the Commies last week.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a team that it's like, oh, well, yeah, they were playing the Buffalo Bills. Frank Reich is a terrible head coach. Terrible head coach. Matt Ryan was running for his life the entire game. Doesn't even matter that he's running for his life. You know what Frank Reich is saying? Let's keep throwing the ball. Eventually, they're going to just get tired of sacking him. They're just going to say he's had enough. And instead of giving the ball to maybe the best running back in the league, I can't anymore with Frank Reich. This team is far too talented on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Unbelievably talented on both sides of the ball to be absolutely wasted by this man's ineptitude at calling a game, at game planning, at managing situations. He is just an idiot. And it's not even my team. Like, this is what makes me so angry is it's like, why am I you're such a bad coach that you're not even the coach for my team. And I am burning hot with rage.
I mean, part of it is that, like, this Colts team is fun when you have guys like Shaq Leonard and Jonathan Taylor on it. Like, you want to be able to root for those guys, and the fact that you are a lifelong Atlanta fan, Matt Ryan, who I mean, Hall of Fame quarterback for Atlanta. I don't know if he's going to
the best quarterback Atlanta's ever had.
Right. I mean, you want to see him have an actual shot at a ring, and it's tough to see it go down like this. We spoke about Frank Reich last year with the game plan he put in place down the stretch, not leaning on Jonathan Taylor.
Last year when they had all they had to do was beat the Jags to get to the playoffs. And you know what he did? He didn't give the ball to Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't know how much it plays into effect, but I forgot to mention this, but that game was in Jacksonville, was it not?
Yes, it was. Which they haven't
the
won.
Colts haven't won there in like 10 years.
Right. I understand that. But this team is too talented.
I agree.
Blown out. Like that's what I'm struggling with is like you shouldn't get blown out by the Jaguars.
I mean,
this team.
Their two biggest playmakers, not named Jonathan Taylor, were both sitting on the bench, and Michael Pittman Jr. and Shaq Leonard both dealing with injuries. So that I'm sure played into it some also. But yeah, no, I'm with you, and I think that it's got to be tough to be in the Colts front office right now, because for me, after last season, I wasn't ready to fire Frank Reich. I thought that he was still, what he had done for that team was still okay. Like, let's give him one more year. Let's see if Carson Wentz was actually the problem. And it looks like it's not Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is looking great in Washington. If you've watched any NFL this year, go look at what he's done in Washington. Guy looks like 2017 Carson Wentz. So obviously,
Carson Wentz looks great, and Matt Ryan looks the worst he's ever looked.
the worst he's ever looked. And he's playing with the most talent around him that he's had in years.
I don't know about
probably since the 2016, the 2016 run that he had.
He's had Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley.
Julio hasn't been good in like 2 or 3 years at this point. Calvin Ridley.
I don't know about that. I will say that this is supposed to be the best offensive line that he's ever had.
Right.
And it's definitely the best running back he's ever had.
Right.
So, but other than that, I don't know that I would say that this is like by far the best team he's played with in a long time, because I'm not high on any of these receivers for the Colts.
What I'm getting at is, if I'm in the front office for the Colts, I think it's time we have a little conversation. Maybe I don't know if it's too early in the season, but maybe you cut Frank Reich loose, say adios, thank you for your time, and you start lacking the spice for Heisman Bryce.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all. That's
what I'm saying. Tank, get yourself a quarterback, because that's been your area of weakness for the last few years since Andrew Luck retired.
Let's not sleep on Stetson Bennett as potential.
I mean, that's true too.
Quarterback. That dude looks ridiculous, but that's also like the only college football I watch. So my college football knowledge is not really the greatest.
I mean, Stetson Bennett is at this point absolutely in the midst of Heisman candidacy, if you're asking me. But yeah.
Anyway, Frank Reich, fire him. I have no doubt that any other coach, you step him into that situation.
Go get a top pick and go get yourself a quarterback. I hate to do that to Matt Ryan, because Matt Ryan deserves to have a legit shot at going and winning a Super Bowl. But like that's been the team's biggest problem, is quarterback, and they've done nothing but play in this quarterback purgatory of using transitional quarterback year after year. It started with Phillip Rivers, went to Carson Wentz, and now it's Matt Ryan. These are guys that these are not the future. These are not the future. Right. And you have a young team. That offensive line's not aged. Like they're a younger offensive line. They're solid. They're going to be good for the next couple of years. Jonathan Taylor's going to be good for the next couple of years. Michael Pittman Jr. is going to be good for the next couple of years. Shaq Leonard in the defense is going to be good for the next couple of years. So go get you a quarterback that's also going to be good for the next couple of years. And I'm not saying Matt Ryan can't be that guy, but like he's obviously on the decline. And when you pair that with a coach that is terrible, it's not a good mixture.
Yeah. I mean, I yelled about the same thing last year when Frank Reich. This is not his first time being under review. I mean, it's not. He did a terrible job last year in the way he handled this team down the stretch, and it is just a team that's too talented to be in this position. So I'm done with them. I don't know that I will pick the Colts to win any more games. If you lose to the Jaguars, there's no reason for me to pick you to win any other games for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm rant over. I need to move on with my life, and I hope that the Colts front office will also move on from Frank Reich. Fire Frank. # fire Frank.
Yeah.
I'm done with it.
Yeah.
I'm done with it.
Yeah. All right. Give me a second. I gotta let Lewin.
All right.
I'll be right back.
Whoa. Spicy. Hot. Too hot. Too hot. Call the police and the fireman. Check my blood pressure. I'm surprised that Maddie didn't check in on me to make sure I was okay. Just yelling about football, as per usual. What I need to do is get picky with a jingle. That's what I need to do. Ain't nobody got time for that though.
All right.
All right. So legit or counterfeit? I've got a thinker for you.
Okay.
I've got a thinker for you here in legit or counterfeit.
I'm ready for it. Hit me with it.
Just this statement. Is this statement legit or is this statement counterfeit?
Oh boy.
Jalen Hurts is a top 5 QB in the NFL.
I feel like I want to say counterfeit.
Ooh.
And part of that is because Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. That's 3. Those are the top 3 right there. It's tough to say that 2 others are definitively better, but I'm not quite ready to say that Jalen Hurts is right there at 4 or even 5. I think that he's probably sitting right outside of that 6 or 7. But I mean, he's definitely playing like a top 5 quarterback this year. I just want to see a little bit more. Like Allen, Herbert, and Mahomes. I think this is Herbert's 3rd year. Is that right? Yeah, this is his 3rd year. So we've seen 2 years. We know what we're getting. He's looked just as good in the first 2 games. Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. He's going to be in the top 3 for the next decade. Josh Allen, again, we've seen multiple years of it. So I just want to see a little bit more of Jalen Hurts before I put him top 5. But he's right there on the edge for sure.
I'll tell you that there's literally no way. There is absolutely no way that you could give me the top 3 unless you saw it earlier today, unless you've looked into it recently. There's no way that you could just guess your way into the top 3 leaders in passing yards at this point of the season.
Passing yards?
In total yards.
Ooh.
Ain't no way. Ain't no way you can guess these 3.
Well, I would bet that Tua's up there because he just had a 469-yard game.
Tua's number 1.
I wish I knew more of what Lamar did in week 1 because he had a 300-yard game. Man, I feel like I want to put Josh Allen in the top 3, but I'm not sure at this point. Ooh, dang. I don't know. I don't know who would be the other 2.
Number 1, Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
Number 2, Carson Wentz.
Oh, number 3, yeah. Carson's had like 2 350-yard games.
Number 3, Joe Flacco.
Yeah, Flacco had a heck of a game on Sunday.
What? Then number 4, 5, and 6, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Russell Wilson, Matt Ryan. It's like those make sense. But the fact that 1, 2, and 3 are Tua, Carson Wentz, Joe Flacco, excuse me?
That's crazy.
Oh man, yeah, it's weird. That's real weird. So anyway, so here's my thing. Where would you put him? How much better is he? Don't throw anything at me.
Yeah.
How much better, or can you really say that Justin Herbert is better than Jalen Hurts at this point?
Yes.
Why?
Well, it's two different styles of quarterback. I'll say that. So like it's basically like I would say that Jalen Hurts falls more on like the Lamar Jackson prototype quarterback, the Cam Newton type quarterback, which is fine. But I also feel like I can trust Herbert a little bit more. And I think some of that is also having like this is like I said, this is a third year. I've seen it for two years, and that's why I can't quite put Hurts there. But Hurts is playing well. I don't know.
Yeah, I just so to me, I feel like the list is Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. I might put Josh Allen first. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and then after that, it gets a little cloudy.
So the thing for me is why I think Josh Allen is so talented, and I would say Kyler Murray is very similar. I think Kyler Murray is a much smaller and not quite as good Josh Allen to where, and what I mean by this is they're two mobile quarterbacks that they don't quite lean on their legs or their arm more than the other. I think Kyler Murray is just as effective as a runner as he is a passer. I think Josh Allen is just as effective as a passer as he is a runner. I don't feel that way about Lamar Jackson. I never felt that way about Cam Newton.
Lamar Jackson has a 64% completion percentage, which is spot on with what his entire career has been.
It's
and 120 QB quarterback rating.
Right.
So.
It's good. It's good. I just don't. I feel like if you take Lamar's legs away from him, he's not as effective. And I feel like Jalen Hurts.
I would say the same is true with Patrick Mahomes. If you took his legs away from him, like that's what makes him good, is his ability to extend plays.
That's true. That is true.
I really think right now I would say it's Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, then Jalen Hurts. Like I don't know anybody that I would put above him. I just, for me, I think it's time to start putting some respect on Jalen Hurts' name.
That's fair. That's fair.
The passes that he's making look fantastic. The reads he makes, his ability to extend plays and throw the ball deep over the top. Like, I think he's legit, man. And I think that people are too down on him like they are with Lamar Jackson of like, oh, he's just a runner. He's not really a passer. But both of those dudes can throw a dime in the basket 50 yards down the field. So, and I even think that Jalen Hurts is a great short throw guy. That can kill you on the slants and then throw it over the top. I don't know. I like Jalen Hurts. I don't know that there's 5 guys I would put ahead of him right now.
Right. And like I said, for me, I can definitively say that there's 3 better. I would say. But
like, do you put Aaron Rodgers ahead of him right now?
Man, it's tough. Because I know that like with Rodgers, it falls more on like the football IQ and like the ability, you know what I'm saying? Like he's been in the game so long, like the talent's still there. Maybe it's diminished a little bit, and the help around him is absolutely diminished. But like, he's still such a dang good quarterback. And honestly, like it's the same with Tom Brady. I don't like saying that, but like it's the same with Tom Brady. Like they're so talented. They know the sport so well. They're so well studied.
When Tom Brady's only got a 59% completion percentage right now, so
right. I mean, the
decline is real for Tom Brady.
He's miserable playing football right now.
He definitely looked at Sunday.
But those 2 guys, like I still have them way up there. I would say Russ is maybe. I mean, he hasn't looked like it, but I would say that he is maybe better than Jalen Hurts. And again, I think the way I'm ranking them is guys that I would want as my guy, and that's a lot. And it's unfair to Jalen because he hasn't had time to prove that to me yet. Just because he hasn't had enough time in the league. But like again, I just want to see a little bit more from him. I don't think he's far. I think he's 6'7" at worst. But for me, I'm still putting him out just outside the top 5.
All right. Well, I won't just continue to beat this horse until it's no longer recognizable. But no, I disagree with you. I think that he's top 5. I think if he keeps deserved his flowers at this point.
If he keeps playing the way he's playing, he's going to be in MVP talks at the end of the season. And if he does that, then I mean,
you got to put him in that elite tier,
right? Well, let's put week 2 in the rear view. and keep the
Week
bus
2 in the
moving.
rear view.
Keep
What's
the
your,
bus moving.
What's your total pick
Oh,
percent?
I have no idea.
Oh, come on! You're normally the one that's on top of
I
this
know,
stuff.
but I've had 2 terrible weeks, and so it's like, what's the point?
I know that. I know right now I'm 14, 17, and 1
Well,
because of stupid ties.
I can't
Stupid.
be too much
stupid
different because last
No, I
week
think
we agreed on every single game except for 2, but it washed out because
it washed out.
the 2 we disagreed on, I got one of them, you got one of them, and then week 1, I don't think we were that drastically different.
I actually think week 1 was exactly the same. The only one we disagreed on was Eagles Lions, and I won that one,
Right.
and Saints Falcons, and you won that one. So
Right.
yeah, I think that you have the exact same record.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow,
That
that's funny.
sounds about right because again,
Yeah.
I know that I've done terrible. So
Yeah. So 14, 17 at 1 and 1 with the picks, which again, I don't feel bad. Like these weeks have been so weird. And all the comebacks that we had last week, man, that was exciting. That was some exciting fourth quarter games.
yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, I think at this point we still don't quite know who is actually a good football team. I don't think we'll know for probably another 2 weeks. I would say around week 4, week 5 is when the contenders start separating themselves a little bit.
At this point, we're all just still playing legit or counterfeit with almost every team.
With almost every single one. Again, I mean, I go back to it. The only team I can say that I know 1,000% is a good team is the Buffalo Bills. And the Eagles are getting up there, but they did just allow.
I feel like the Chiefs, you can say 100%.
Oh, sure. The Chiefs too. And that's I mean, the Chiefs are proving that the AFC still runs through Kansas City.
Yeah.
And the Eagles are getting there, but they did allow 35 points to the Lions, so that worries me about their defense. But maybe the Lions are actually good. Anyways, let's move on to week 3, and I say it's time we get picky with it.
No, getting picky with it. No, getting picky with it. No, getting picky with it. Bow.
Starting us off over on Amazon Thursday night at 8:15, we have the 1-1 Pittsburgh Steelers coming off a lackluster performance against the New England Patriots, heading into Cleveland to face the 1-1 Cleveland Browns, who just got upset by Joe Flacco and the Jets. Currently, Cleveland are 4.5-point favorites. I don't know if I'd be giving a team that just lost to the Jets that big of a line, but Steelers also did not look great.
No.
I don't know which direction to go with this game, but who you got, man?
I still got a question mark beside mine. I'm not 100% sure.
That's fair.
This one's a really hard one for me because honestly, like, I don't hate what I've seen from Jacoby Brissett. Like,
yeah.
Now again, they played the Jets this week, so it's hard to really judge a quarterback based on that. But
and Nick Chubb's having himself a good year too.
Yeah. I don't know, man. This is a hard one. I think that I don't know. Part of me thinks that the Browns are just still going to brown, and that I think that the wheels are starting to come off a little bit. All of the controversy, all of the drama starting to get to everybody. Brownie the Elf and his little hijinks around midfield. Who knows what's going on with Brownie? I'm gonna go Steelers. I had Steelers with a question mark after it. I'm just gonna stick with the Steelers. But this is a game that I really could see going either way. Both of these quarterbacks are really backups for a reason. They're guys who are inconsistent, and so you never know what you're going to get. This is
Right.
the QB these QBs are like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And so that was it sounded like British Forrest Gump. Like a box of chocolates. So anyway, I'm going to go Steelers. I just think that this team's defense, even without TJ, is still just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to lose a little bit of faith in the Browns defense because, they let the Jets come back. So.
Yeah, the Steelers team, I still like them. I I think you were spot on with your good Mitch, bad Mitch, and maybe we're back to good Mitch because I also
Oh
have
yeah, that's right. That was I forgot I said that last week.
I
Yeah,
also
so
have the Steelers. Um, and that defense does look good. I mean, Minka Fitzpatrick had another pick on Sunday, I believe.
yeah.
They look good. I think they will outmatch this Browns offense, which is good but not great, with a um, okay backup quarterback and Jacoby Brissett, manning the ship currently. So yeah, I'm also going Pittsburgh.
Nice. Cool.
Moving on to Sunday. Starting us off on Sunday at 1 p.m. over on CBS, we have the 0-1-1 Houston Texans going into Chi-Town to face the 1-1 Chicago Bears, coming off a lackluster performance against the Packers where they got outmanned pretty much in all areas of the game. I don't know what to make of this Chicago Bears team yet. I think they're still not good, but they're maybe they're better than we thought. They did have a good week 1 against San Francisco.
No, they had a messy week 1 where they just came out of
But
the
it was
monster.
against a good team like San Francisco. They got the win. I mean, they did what they had to do.
It was at home,
at times,
in the mud.
At times against Green Bay, they looked good too. They were able to move the ball. They just couldn't get it in the end zone. I don't know if they're better than the Texans. I don't know if the Texans are better than the Bears. I don't know what to make of these teams. This is going to be a bad game. Chicago currently 3-point favorites. Who you got?
I'm going with the Texans, man. I'm
Ooh.
in on these Davis Mills led Texans. Dude looks pretty decent. This Bears defense is just bad. There's just not much talent on the Bears defense.
Yeah.
And I think that for whatever reason the Texans have been clicking. So
I mean,
yeah,
Texans didn't look great against the Broncos this week.
well, but that's also a Broncos team that I'm still pretty high on.
You might be the only one.
I know. I'm in a place with the Broncos where it's like, from what I've seen, it's there. They just haven't grabbed it yet. You know,
They have a bad head coach.
That could be the case. So I don't know. I still think that this Texans team is better. I mean, this is a Texans team that hung with that Broncos team for the entire game until the last drive.
Yeah.
So,
True.
and this is a Bears team that their only win, their quarterback has thrown 19 passes this year. They're completed.
That's all, really?
Passes. Yeah.
Wow.
He had 8 in the first game against
the
49ers, and he had 11 in the game. That might be attempts. Let me double check that before I just start spouting off. But yeah, I may or may have not have gotten into some arguments with Bears fans on social media, on Twitter, and they see, what's funny is they think that it's the Packers fan talking, and I'm like, actually, no, it's not. There's very little bias going into this, and they're like, oh, you're just a bitter UGA fan. And I'm like, not really. I just don't think that he's very good.
What do you have to be bitter against Justin Fields
for? There
Like...
are a lot of people who don't like him because they feel like, I mean, there is a little bit of that in me that, like, I think he's overrated because he left and had such a great time at Ohio State, but I don't care because I don't know. It's like, it doesn't really affect me.
Yeah.
But anyway, regardless.
I will say, interesting storyline to follow in this game. Not that I'm going to be following this game at all, but right. Interesting storyline. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is Lovie Smith's first return to Chicago as a head coach anywhere else.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to have his team fired up. I also have the Texans.
Yeah. Right now, Justin Fields this season, he has completed 15 passes and attempted 28 for a whopping 53% completions, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. So
yeah, that sounds like an Ohio State quarterback.
Yeah, that's an Ohio State quarterback if I've ever heard one.
Sounds about right.
So yeah, I think that this Bears team is the worst team in football.
Maybe.
Maybe them and the Seahawks.
I'm still leaning towards the Seahawks, but you could be right. You could be right. Let's go on down to Nashville, where we have the 0-2 Las Vegas Raiders, struggling out the gate this year. Looked like they had a win wrapped up against the Cardinals, and the Cardinals fought their way back to beat them. And they're heading into Nashville to face the Tennessee Titans, who are also 0-2 after getting absolutely murdered by the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football. Currently on the road, Vegas are 2-point favorites. I think that's fair based off of what we've seen from this Titans team. We got a Malik Willis sighting on Monday Night Football. He came in the third quarter in relief of Ryan Tannehill when the game was already way out of hand and way over with. I wonder how long it'll be until we get another one. I don't think it'll happen in this game, but I like this Raiders team still. I'm still probably higher on them than I should be, just because of the talent that I know is on the team. But it's not all coming together under new head coach Josh McDaniels. I think that we kind of thought that might happen, but week 3, it's too soon to overreact. Who you got, man?
Let's calm this down, because I don't want you taking credit for my takes. Okay. I
listen.
I don't think this Raiders team is very good. You have them like second in the division, and
I think they're a talented team. I did mention Josh McDaniels could be a question mark.
I mean, Josh McDaniels isn't throwing the football for them, and Derek Carr is not doing a great job throwing the football.
Derek Carr had a rough game in week 1 against a very good defense in the Chargers, and week 2, he had a pretty clean game. He, for whatever reason, did not get his number 1 wide receiver, Devontae Adams, involved too much. Maybe Cardinals had him covered pretty well. I don't know. I didn't watch much of this game. But Derek Carr is not the reason they lost that game.
And where's your boy Max Crosby? I saw him get just absolutely destroyed this week.
Listen, it's week 2. It's too soon to overreact. Who you got in this game against the Titans? You picked the Titans. I think you're crazy.
I'm picking the Titans.
You're an idiot.
I'm not an idiot.
Did you see what the Titans did on Monday night?
Yeah, because you know who they were playing?
Did you see that they lost to the New York Giants in week 1?
Listen, who knows what's going on? But Derrick Henry is not going to be contained this long. That's my thing. Derrick Henry is going to show up at some point, and I don't think that this Raiders defense is very good. And so I think that Derrick Henry is going to come in and have his way with this Raiders team. And
Raiders defense that shut down Kyler Murray and the boys for like 3 quarters on Sunday.
Again, Kyler Murray and the boys, not that good. Kyler Murray and the boys, not that good. I don't think they're that good. And so I think that and if you look at the stats for that game, the Cardinals offense was pretty dang solid. I think they had like most of their running backs ran for like 30 yards. They ran like 4 different guys for 30 yards, over 120 yards.
But they weren't good until the 4th quarter. Like this game was 23-7 going into the 4th quarter.
Listen, I'm just telling you, I'm just calling it like I see it. And I saw it before the season started. I said, I don't think that this Raiders team is very good.
It took an unbelievable 2-point conversion from Kyler Murray, in which he literally ran 84 yards, scrambling like Patrick Mahomes out there to get into the end zone.
Yeah, and he always just looks hilarious when he runs because he's so tiny.
Like that's just an unbelievable 2-point conversion, an improbable 2-point conversion, and if they don't make that, they don't win this game.
And again, I don't think the Cardinals are very good, so they shouldn't have been here anyway.
Oh, goodness.
I think, again, you forget how dominant this Titans team was last year when Derrick Henry was healthy. They were ridiculous.
Derrick he's been healthy for 2 weeks now, and they've looked
He's got to
terrible.
get back to game speed, man.
Oh.
Let him get back to game speed.
You're giving
Let him
Derrick
get
Henry
his
about as
stuff
many
together.
excuses as I'm giving the Raiders.
Listen, because it's Derrick Henry. Did you watch? We talked about how he's just a behemoth of a man among boys out there, and that's what he was last year. I see no reason to think he's not going to return to that, at least to some kind of dominance. He doesn't necessarily need to lead the league in rushing again, but he's going to be pretty good. So, again, give me the
Unbelievable.
Titans.
Unbelievable.
I think the Titans defense is probably still good enough to contain a lackluster Raiders offense. And their porous offensive line, which has been allowing Derek Carr to be pressured a whole lot. So
I just want you to know that you're a crazy man. And when the
I
Raiders...
just want you to know that we've had the exact same record in our picks at this point of the season.
Well,
so
it's my luck is turning around because you're making some dumb picks. So
Nope.
I will take this victory when the Raiders win on Sunday against the Titans.
ain't no way. It's at home. That's the other thing is in Tennessee.
Who cares? Who cares?
Everyone.
Moving on.
Las Vegas cares. That's who cares.
Moving on. We have the Kansas City Chiefs going just down the road to Indianapolis to face the Indianapolis Colts, sitting at 0-1, 1-1. They look like a mess. They have no clear leadership under Frank Reich. And the Kansas City Chiefs are one of the best coached teams in the league under Andy Reid. They also have Patrick Mahomes, who looks, I don't know, like prime Patrick Mahomes. The wide receiving core there has not been an issue at all with the loss of Tyreek.
I wouldn't say not at all, but not as big of an issue as we thought.
Definitely not as big of an issue as anybody thought.
They weren't great last week.
Currently, Kansas City are 6.5-point favorites. Remember those 10-point lines we had last week? I feel like you could definitely put that on this game.
For sure.
Who you got, man?
Yeah, I got Kansas City. It's not close. I despise Frank Reich and think that I would be a better head coach than he is. How about this? I couldn't be a worse head coach than Frank Reich.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I've also got the Chiefs. I don't think that it's tough, man. I want to like this Colts team. I want to see them do good. We both thought they would be great. I had this team going 12-5 this year and winning the NFC or the AFC South pretty handily, and they have looked bad through 2 weeks.
And we know what to point to when that happens. When a talented team looks bad, we know where to point the finger.
Head coach.
The old skipper.
Let's go on down to Miami where we have the best team in football, the Buffalo Bills, sitting at 2-0, dominating their opponents, going down to Miami to face the passing yards leader in Tua Tagovailoa and the boys of the Dolphins. Currently, Buffalo are 5.5-point favorites, but I have a sneaky suspicion this is going to be maybe the spiciest matchup of the week. I really like these two teams going at each other, both sitting at 2-0. One of them's got to take that lead in the AFC East. I don't know who it's going to be, but who you got, man?
Yeah, I've got the Bills in this one. Again, I think it's going to be hard to pick against the Bills until somebody does beat them, but I will say this one is spicy to me. I think that this Dolphins team I think this could be a statement game for them, whether they push it and make it close or somehow pull off a win. I don't have them winning this game. I'm not that stupid. But I think that it could be close. I think that 6-point line is pretty good. And I mean, 5.5-point line. And so if the line is 5.5 and the Dolphins are 5.5 within the Bills, that's going to make them look pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I also have the Bills. I think that the kicker for me is that the Dolphins, yes, Tua was my best of the booth can, but the Dolphins did not look good for 3 quarters.
Right.
As I mentioned, they were outscored 35-14 after 3 quarters of that game. It was really the fourth quarter where something happened and magic took over, and that Dolphins team went berserk. But I do think they're a good team. I think they're still going to make noise this year. I don't think they're on the level of the Bills. And I don't even think they're on the level of the Bills to necessarily be super competitive in this game. I don't think it's going to be like what we saw on Monday Night Football where the Bills just dominated the Titans. I don't even think it's going to be what we saw between the Bills and the Rams. I think the Dolphins are going to put up a little bit of a fight, but I could still see this game being a 10-point game in favor of the Bills.
It could be, yeah.
And I think if you within 10 points of an offense that's that good, like that still says something for Miami. So yeah, also have the Bills.
Yep.
Moving on, we have another sneaky spicy matchup, I think.
The
sneaky spice. We have the Detroit Lions coming off their first win of the season, heading over to Minnesota to face the Minnesota Vikings, coming off a pretty big surprising loss to the Eagles. I say surprising in the matter in which it happened. I don't think that it's surprising that they lost necessarily. I think it's surprising that they got dominated like they did by the Philadelphia Eagles. And this Lions team is a spicy team to watch. Currently, Minnesota are 6-point favorites. I don't think that's going to be the case. I see this being a field goal type game. However, with the way Minnesota's offense looked in week 1 and the question marks that I have for the Lions defense, this could be a blowout in Minnesota's favor. I could also see that happening. But I think Detroit's offense is good enough to go toe-to-toe with Minnesota. But who you got, man?
I think this is one of those games that we have a direct line of competition that we can look at. What was the score of the Lions game against the Eagles? The Lions only lost by 3.
Yep.
What was the score of the Vikings against the Eagles? They got absolutely pooped on.
Yep.
So I'm going with the Lions. I'm starting to buy in.
Let's go.
I'm starting to buy in, and this would officially kick off the new era in Detroit.
This is I don't have a winner picked in this game because I want to believe in the Lions so much. I just don't know. And if you're in Minnesota, what are you doing not being at this game? Tickets are as low as $37. Go buy yourself a ticket to this game and go enjoy a fun game. At the very least, like if you're in Minnesota, you're probably a Vikings fan, and the Vikings are a fun team. But hopefully you see a good one because I believe in this Lions team. I'm with you. I think I'm gonna pick them. I'm gonna pick the Lions. I'm gonna do it.
Do it.
They're kind of my other team, which is weird being a Packers fan, but whatever.
It's okay. I wanted the Panthers to be my other team, but that ain't happening.
I think it's gonna be a great game. I whenever I was there and I saw this was the week 3 matchup, I even told our friend that's in Minnesota, I was like, listen, I'd be buying tickets to that game right now.
Yep.
I think it's going to be, like, even if the Lions were 0-2 going into this game, I thought it'd be a fun game.
Yeah. And this line team is apparently ridiculous. So,
yeah. I mean,
especially offensively.
It's a fun team. It's a fun team. Next up, we have the Cincinnati Bengals starting their season off 0-2. Maybe that Super Bowl hangover is a real thing for them. But they get a nice team to bounce back against in week 3. They're heading into New Jersey to face Joe Flacco and the New York Jets. Currently, Cincy are 4.5-point favorites. Might be a little disrespectful to the Jets, who are just coming off their first win of the season. But Cincy is the better team, at least on paper. Who you got, man?
Yeah, tickets to this one are as low as $31 because who wants to go see that? That shambles that is this game.
I'd go see Joe Burrow.
That's fair. But if you're a Jets fan, are you going to really go pay to see this? Yeah, I've got the Bengals.
If you're a Jets fan, you're absolutely going to see this game. Coming off of what was an improbable victory. Listen, at one point in that game, the Browns had a 99.8% chance of winning that game. 99.8% chance.
But isn't that just the Browns in a nutshell?
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Browns.
anyways.
They find new ways to lose. That's really what's impressive about the Cleveland Browns is they find new ways to lose. They hire a sexual predator to be their quarterback. They blow a 2-touchdown lead to the Jets at home. Yeah, I mean they find new ways to be the laughing stock of the NFL. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but I'm gonna for that reason for the reason that the Bengals are a far superior team to the Jets. I'm gonna go with the Bengals, but now that I'm saying it out loud, I feel way less sure about it. But um, yeah, I just don't think the Jets are gonna be able to hang with the Bengals. I don't think they're gonna be able to score with the Bengals. Um,
Fair.
so that's really where I draw the line. The Jets might be able to get a couple stops against the Bengals, but I don't see the Jets scoring on this Bengals defense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also picking the Bengals. I'm not quite ready to drink that Jets juice yet,
The
but
Jets.
I do like Flacco. I've always been a fan of Flacco. When he was with the Ravens, I loved him. Most people didn't want to call him an elite quarterback. I thought he was a very, very good, borderline top 10 quarterback throughout most of his time in Baltimore. And it's fun to see him kind of have a little bit of a resurgence for this New York team. I know it's not going to last. They're going to turn it over to Zach Wilson as soon as he's healthy. But if Flacco can win some games for them, maybe you question that decision a little bit, and maybe you slow your roll on turning it over to the old Cougar chaser himself.
Cougar Town.
But I don't think they're going to be able to match the Bengals. I think the Bengals are at least on paper too good. And if the Bengals fall to 0-3, then we're going to have some real big question marks about this team.
That's going to be crazy.
Yeah. But
especially if they fall to 0-3 against the Jets.
It is the 2022 NFL season. If there's one thing I know, it's that it's going to be crazy.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens. Let's move over to Maryland, where we have a division rival matchup in the Philadelphia Eagles coming off a big win against the Minnesota Vikings, heading down to Washington to face the Washington Commanders. Currently, the Eagles are 6.5-point favorites. I say that's about fair. This Commanders offense has been fun to watch, but there's still a lot of questions on the defense, and I don't know. I thought the Vikings offense was going to be good, and they got destroyed by the Eagles defense. And I think that the similar thing could happen to the Commies at home. But who you got, man?
Yeah, I mean, do we even really have to pick this game? Like, this is the Eagles. Easy. Like, the Eagles are, in my opinion, one of the best teams, one of the best 4 teams in the league. So,
yeah,
give me the Eagles in this one.
Yeah, you I gotta give you credit. I mean, we'll see how the rest of the season pans out, but like through 2 weeks, you were one of the few people. I mean, there was a handful of people in the media picking the Eagles to make a at least an NFC Championship game appearance, if not a Super Bowl appearance. And you jumped on that bandwagon too, and you've been right through 2 weeks. They look pretty dang good. I'm also picking the Eagles over the Commanders. I like what Washington has going on offense, but I don't think it's enough against this team.
Yeah.
So let's head on down to Charlotte, North Carolina, where we have another division rivalry. We have the New Orleans Saints heading into town after giving away a game to Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, literally by throwing 3 interceptions for Jameis Winston. They head into Carolina to face. Is it too early to start calling him Faker Mayfield? He hasn't been great. He hasn't been terrible yet, but he hasn't been great for them.
I think he's just what we expect from Baker Mayfield, so I don't think we can call him Baker Mayfield yet.
Man, I miss Swagger Baker. That's the best Baker. I want that Baker to come back to the NFL. Come on, man.
Yep.
Currently, New Orleans 3-point favorites. That's fair. I don't want to call them the better team, but I guess they kind of are. Who you got, man?
Well, you know me. I can't in good conscience pick the New Orleans Saints to win a football game. I don't think that this team is good. I think that they're very bad, to say the least. I loved watching them and Tampa Bay just punch each other. That
Yeah.
was my favorite part of this weekend, was watching those two teams just punch each other. And I wish somebody had punched Tom Brady, but they didn't. Nobody needed to punch Jameis Winston because he probably was over on the sidelines fighting with himself. Like, that's how he's just a literal crazy person. Like, I really don't know what to do. Like, I feel a little bit bad making fun of Jameis Winston. Maybe we shouldn't. Um, like you can't pick on a kid that's maybe not all there. So, yeah, for that reason, I think this is the week that the Panthers are finally able to kind of get it together and get some semblance of what they were expecting to have this season.
Yeah.
Maybe Baker develops some more chemistry with some of the guys there. Christian McCaffrey can get going against this Saints team who gave up a ton of rushing yards to the Falcons. And so if they're giving up a ton of rushing yards to the Falcons, the Panthers should be able to run the ball pretty effectively as well. So
Yeah.
I've got the Panthers in this one. Again, I don't think the Saints are a very good team, and it's in Carolina. So I just think that this Panthers team is better than 0-3.
Yeah.
I know that they might not be a playoff team, even though I had them winning the division, but I think that they're better than 0-3, and I don't know that the Saints are better than 1-2.
Yeah, I also have the Panthers in this one. I want to believe in this team. I think there's a lot of good things there. I think a lot of it does fall on the head coach and Matt Rule, who
Yep.
is probably getting canned at the end of the season, if not before then. But I like this Carolina team, and I don't like the Saints team. That's pretty much what it boils down to.
Yeah, the Saints defense has not looked very good. The Saints offense has not looked very good.
Yeah.
There's just nothing about this team to get excited. Like,
There's nothing. They've had one quarter of good NFL football. That's it.
and it was unbelievably good.
Yeah. One quarter where magic struck Jameis Winston and he turned into the best quarterback we've ever seen.
Do you know what happened in that game? That something was going on, and he went into the medical tent. And when he came out of the medical tent, he was unbelievable. So that's what everybody's been saying. It's like, what happened in that medical tent that all of a sudden Jameis Winston came out and was just an absolute unstoppable force?
Took some pain
So,
meds, man. That's what happened.
Yeah, maybe he needs to take another trip to the medical tent, and that'll help him. But
moving on, we have Baltimore Ravens coming off a defeat in which they literally had victory in their hands and they let it slip away to the Miami Dolphins. And now they've got to travel up to Foxborough to face Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. Somehow Baltimore are 3-point favorites. I think that might be fair given the way Baltimore's looked. New England has been slow out of the gate this year. They did just get a nice win over the Steelers, but the Steelers are still such a question mark team that we don't quite know what they are, and we don't know how valuable, I guess is the best word, that win really is. So I don't know who's the better team in this, but who you got, man?
Yeah, I've been real disappointed in the Patriots.
Yeah.
I think that this was a team that me and you both were super high on last year.
Yep.
But it just looks like something is missing. Maybe Bill Belichick is gotten a little soft. Maybe, he's being a little nice, and so that's making the team not play as hard. I don't know what it is. But I'm starting to buy into the Ravens hype. I remember watching this team last year, even though they were like one of the most injury-riddled team in the league last year. And they were still finding ways to win games. I don't know if you remember us talking about that it was like, what is it about this Ravens team that they're just winning games for no reason?
Scrappy.
It's like, how did you? Yeah. And so I'm starting to see that a little bit. I know they did just lose to the Dolphins. I get that, but I'm seeing a little bit of that in just the way they are winning, or the way that they're scoring, the way that they're getting stops. It just seems it's kind of like the opposite of Frank Reich. That you've got that one's Jim, right? Is that Jim Harbaugh?
John Harbaugh in Baltimore.
John Harbaugh. the good Harbaugh. John Harbaugh, he's just got a way with the game of football that
Yeah.
you can never really count out these Ravens. And as long as Lamar Jackson is back there, I mean, he should be in MVP talks at this point for the way he's played this season. So,
Sure.
if he can continue to do that, if John Harbaugh can continue to get the best out of this team, I don't see any reason why the Ravens shouldn't win this game on Sunday.
Yeah, I also have the Ravens winning. I just like this team a little bit more than where the Patriots currently are at. It does seem like maybe old Bill is a little Belichicked out.
Yeah.
I don't
I like
know
that.
if he's quite all in anymore. Part of me almost wants to say that it might be time for a change in New England
Ooh.
before too long.
Ooh.
Just because
I can't get on board. I cannot co-sign with this.
listen. I don't think it will happen until Bill Belichick wants it to happen. I will say
Okay.
that
Okay.
because of what he's done for that franchise throughout his tenure there. But I don't know if he is still fully in love with coaching and specifically coaching this team like it seemed like he was at one point. I think life without Tom Brady has not been easy for him. And maybe it could be a good thing for them to go their separate ways.
Yeah.
But Bill Belichick is still one of the greatest coaches to ever coach the game.
I think the greatest.
It's
in
just
my humble
it's an interesting spot that they're in. I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I've also got the Ravens win this one.
Yeah, well, we'll just have to see if Matt can. This is they fizzled off down the stretch last year, and so
Yep.
maybe something's going on under the surface. So we'll see. We'll see how
Yeah.
it shakes out, or maybe they'll pull it together.
We'll see. We'll see. Let's go out to LA where we have the Jacksonville Jaguars clawing their way out to Los Angeles to take on the Los Angeles Chargers. The Jags got to be riding high after a nice big win over their division rival in the Colts. The Chargers a little banged up currently. Keenan Allen's dealing with his injury. The Corey Linsley got banged up in that game against the Chiefs. Justin Herbert has fractured cartilage, rib cartilage. Currently, what I saw is that he's day to day.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Don't know what that means for this game. Potentially, I would say if there's a game for to have him miss, it would be this one against the Jags, who should be a beatable opponent. If you're having to rely on your backup quarterback, I don't know who the backup quarterback is. Is Chase Daniel? I think that's who came in.
I thought he just signed a broadcasting deal.
I'm trying to remember who came in that game for the one series that they had.
Let's do some Googling right quick. Yeah, it is Chase Daniel.
Yeah, Chase
You're
Daniel. Chase Daniel's not a terrible quarterback. He should be serviceable enough to beat a Jags team, especially when you have the defense the Chargers have. But I think the question mark of Herbert is really the big question mark for me for this game. But apparently it's not a question for Vegas. Vegas still has the Chargers as 7-point favorites, which is kind of ludicrous. But who you got, man?
Listen, sorry. Listen, I know we can't make our picks contingent because it would be great. So I'm gonna pick the Chargers, but that's on the record. But then off the record, if Justin Herbert doesn't play, this Jags team might not be too bad.
Yeah,
and with a Chargers offensive line that's got its woes, and not having Justin Herbert. Who am I kidding? Their defense is ridiculous. Give me the Chargers either way.
Yeah. That's kind of my stance on it, is that, like, even if Herbert doesn't play, I still feel like the defense is good enough to slow down the Jags. I don't think the Jags are great in any facet of the game yet. I think they're a mediocre to an average to above average team that is on the rise. And I like the move that they made to bring in Doug Peterson. Trevor Lawrence is looking better this year. That Christian Kirk signing has been a sneaky good one for them.
It has been.
I think there's a lot of good things happening in Jacksonville, but I don't think they're there yet. I don't think that they can compete with this Chargers team, even if Herbert isn't playing. I still think Chase Daniel is, like I said, serviceable enough, and the defense of the Chargers is elite enough to where this team can be okay.
Yeah. And I meant to look up some stats on it, but like I saw somebody else post on Twitter about how you never should bet against the backup quarterback in their first start. That backup quarter, like Cooper Rush this week, that he went out and beat the Bengals. Like backup quarterbacks, when they get their shot, the first game, it's hard to beat them. And I said that last year.
Yeah,
that
you
like
did.
because it's hard to game plan against backups because you don't know what kind of development they've done. They might change the playbook a little bit. So it's hard to game plan for against the whole team when there's a backup quarterback in. It just changes things. Now, that going into the second week is almost never a good thing. That's why those are backup quarterbacks. But
Right.
yeah, so either way, it makes sense for the Chargers to win because if they got a backup quarterback that could completely change the fundamentals of their offense, and their style, so they could catch the Jags off guard. The little dyslexic moment there.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
the Jags.
Let's move over to the desert of Arizona, where we have the Los Angeles Rams getting a close win, closer than it should have been, over the Atlanta Falcons, to put them at 1-1 on the season, heading into Arizona to face the Cardinals, who also sit at 1-1 after also getting a close win in overtime against the Las Vegas Raiders. Currently, the Rams are 3.5-point favorites. I think that's probably fair. I think these are two teams that have a lot of question marks. They've had decent play at times, and then they've had surprisingly bad play at other times. Playing a little too close with opponents that they maybe should beat. I don't know which direction I want to go with this one, but who you got, man?
Yeah, I first of all, I really thought it was going to happen. I thought that the Falcons 28-3 curse
Almost
was
did.
going to be Uno reversed, and then Aaron Donald happened, and Aaron Donald shoves, like, he straight up just blocked the running back into Marcus Mariota, and so Marcus Mariota throws a very inaccurate ball that's picked off by Jalen Ramsey, and so that ended that fantastic comeback in the making. So, man, it was so close. But I think that these are two teams that I don't think very highly of. I don't think that either one of them are really that much of a threat anymore.
Yeah.
But I do still think that the Rams are a better team than the Cards. I think that the Cardinals still have a lot of question marks. I don't really buy this Cardinals defense very much. And then offensively, they're just not super consistent, and that Rams defense is still pretty solid. So I think that Stafford's probably going to have a little bit of success, a little bit more success. I mean, he had great success against Atlanta for most of the game.
Yeah.
He just made a couple mistakes. One of them was a fantastic play by Michael Walker in the middle of the field, who just ran this fantastic defensive stunt to put him in the exact right place, get his paw up, and be able to snag it down. The other's was a bad read by Stafford, and then a blocked punt that really is, and then a Cooper Kupp fumble. I mean, these were weird things that happened to put the Rams in this situation, and Cooper Kupp hadn't fumbled in like years. Like, it's ridiculous how long it had been since he had fumbled. So, yeah, I think that this Rams team, I think that was a little flukish against Atlanta on Sunday. And so I think that they're still one of the better teams in the league, but definitely better than the Cards for sure.
Yeah, interesting. I have the Cardinals in this game.
Ooh.
I wish I had a good reason. It was kind of a gut decision.
Pretty bold of you to go with the home team there.
I don't love either of these teams. I think
No,
there's
that's fair.
so many question marks on both of them. I'm coming around to what you predicted in our preseason preview of this Rams team, of them not being as good. I'm coming around to that. I
Listen,
had them
I'm
as
not crazy.
I'm
a pretty smart football guy.
I had them as one of the top 3 teams in the NFC. I'm not quite ready to say that they're not going to be. I think that when you have the talent that's on that team, they probably should be up there. But it's just it's not quite. It's the Magic's kind of run out in LA. The Magic they had last year, it's not looking like the same Rams team. And this Cardinals team has not looked great either, but they're coming off a very momentum shifting type win. I think when you win in the fashion that you did against a team that's expected to be good, like the Raiders, it can do a lot of good for your team. And I think that's why I'm going with the Cardinals.
That's fair.
Let's let's head up to Seattle. We have your Dirty Birds, the Atlanta Falcons, facing off against Geno Smith and the boys in the Seattle Seahawks. Currently, the Seattle Seahawks are 2-point favorites. I don't love that when you have... listen, I get it, the Falcons, everybody expects them to be bad, except for me and you, apparently. But this team literally is...
They remind me a lot of the Lions from last year.
They're 5 points from being 2-0. 5 points.
Yeah.
I don't like... This is not a bad football team.
Right.
It's not... I won't say it's a good football team, but they're not far off. They have a lot of good things going. Mariota has not looked terrible. Cordero Patterson is looking like a solid running back. They have a nice young receiver in Drake London. They still have Kyle Pitts there, despite him being kind of a no-show on Sunday. But I like the man. And the Seahawks team, I don't see much to like. Yeah, Geno Smith had a great week 1, and it's a great story for Geno, but I don't see that continuing.
And again, he is a what? He is a backup quarterback.
Backup quarterback
in his first game. And it's against a team that, well, I guess it doesn't matter.
It's the reverse. Russ, they know Russ very well, and so they're going to be able to shut him down.
Yeah. So it was an unknown because it was a backup quarterback in his first start, and then in his second start, Geno Smith looked like what we expected Geno Smith to look like. So, I think that, I've got the Falcons. I think that the Seahawks are the worst team in football. The Seahawks, Bears, they can have a fight over who's the worst, but I think it's between those two teams, and then maybe Atlanta is third. I have no problem with anybody putting Atlanta third.
I'm not even ready to put the Falcons third. Honestly, I think that the Falcons. I don't know who I would put third. I haven't given it much thought.
That's hard.
But I think this Falcons team. You mentioning them very similar to Detroit last year, I think that's spot on. They are very similar. They're scrappy. They're going to put up a fight. They're not going to be an easy win for anybody, I don't think. And I think that a lot of those close games, they can and might pull out a win. Both of these games they faced. They faced the reigning Super Bowl champs last week and almost beat them. Arguably should have beat them. If Mariota had a better pass, they should have absolutely beaten their division rival in the Saints in week 1, who a lot of people are saying is a Super Bowl contender. This is two quality NFC teams that they went toe to toe with, down to the wire. And I think I'll say this: I think they beat the Seahawks by 7 points.
That's fair. Thank you.
Because I think they're that much better than this Seattle team. This is not a good Seattle team at all. And I can at least say the Falcons team are not that far off from being called a good team.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think they have to deal with the travel because I don't know if they're coming back.
Nope,
I'm
nope.
not
They're
sure.
still on the West Coast.
So they just stay West Coast the
Yep.
entire time. So and how that wears on a team could be
Yep.
different. I'm unfamiliar with the situation, of course, because I've never played a professional sport on any level. So, but I do think that I think that this Falcons team, they've got a lot of talent. It is like both of these games to me. If you're depending on Marcus Mariota to win, you're not gonna win many games.
Right.
Like Marcus Mariota, although he's been I think he's been great to watch. He's been his mobility has been a really cool factor in Atlanta. He hasn't really been awful in
Right.
his accuracy, and so it's hard to blame him for some things. Did you see the play where he fell down, got up, and threw it to the tight end? Did you see that play?
No.
I'll have to send it to you because fourth and it was like 4th and 2 inside the 20, inside
Yeah.
the 15, like close. Play action. He gets the ball and he's sprinting on a rollout and he just falls on the ground, gets back up and throws it to the tight end. Like slips on the ground, but is able to get back up and complete the pass. And I'm like, that is Marcus Mariota in a nutshell. That it's like, man, look at the athleticism that he was able to recover and get the ball to the tight end. But it's also like, but why did he fall down?
Yeah.
like, like, sure, he had the great athleticism to get up, but also he fell down and tripped over nobody and nothing.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, I just think that, I like this Falcons team. I'll say this: if the Falcons lose to the Seahawks on Sunday, I better see Desmond Ridder next week.
That's
Like,
fair. That's fair.
If Marcus Mariota can't beat the Seahawks, get him out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Mariota's been a perfectly fine transitional quarterback. He's done exactly what you would expect out of a quarterback that you know is not going to be there long term.
I mean, what he's given is exactly what I expected from him.
Yes.
Is it as good as I hoped it could be? No, but it's what I expected.
Right. Yeah. Let's move on to the last game in the 4:00 window. We have my Green Bay Packers taking on Tom Brady and the Bucs down in Tampa. Currently, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 1.5-point favorites,
Which is interesting.
It is interesting.
They're 2-0.
I actually think that's probably fair. The bias in me wants to give the edge to the Packers, but the Bucs are 2-0. Granted, they have not looked good in either one of those games.
Oh.
I don't think that Tom Brady looks miserable playing right now. Part of me thinks he might be regretting his decision to come back and play.
Yeah.
There's also allegedly some off-field issues going on with his wife. I'm sure that's probably affecting him some too. But they're still 2-0. Now, currently, Mike Evans is suspended for this game, which is a big deal. He is appealing it. We'll see what happens with that. Chris Godwin is still banged up. They did just sign Cole Beasley, which means that Cole Beasley is going to go out and get 150 yards and 2 touchdowns because we all know Tom Brady loves him some white wide receivers.
Loves the white boys.
But I think it's going to be a close one. I think it's going to be a good game. Who you got, man?
I've got for me, I've got the Packers. I mean, I think that this is clearly the better team. I said this at the beginning of the year too. I think I have the Bucs finishing. No, I have them second in the division. But yeah, I think this Bucs team, Tom Brady, it's finally happened. It looks like it's finally happened. And of course, now that I said that on this podcast, he's going to come out this week and throw for 5,000 yards in a game. But I think that he's starting to slip. He's starting to not look as sharp. He doesn't have the talent around him that won the Super Bowl. Gronk is gone. Mike Evans is, he does not like Marshawn Lattimore. And then Godwin is banged up. If you're trying out there to throw, if your two best receivers are Scotty Miller and Cole Beasley, you're going to have some trouble.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the best Super Bowl winning quarterback of all time. You're going to struggle against when those are your two top receivers. So,
Yeah.
I think the Packers defense is going to feast. I don't think the Bucks defense is great. And so I think that, you know, the Packers are going to be able to run the ball a little bit, get those running backs involved, and maybe Aaron Rodgers can find some chemistry with these janitors they have out there trying to catch the ball.
Yeah, I also have Green Bay winning this one. I do think part of that is me being biased and picking my team, but I also think that they're better. I think that what we saw from them in Week 1 is not indicative of what this team's going to be throughout the season, and I think that where the Bucks are currently is kind of indicative of what they're going to be. I don't think that they're going to be necessarily a super competitive team down the stretch. But I think it's going to be close. I don't think the Packers are going to dominate like they did against the Bears on Sunday night. I think it's going to be a good game. I'm excited for it. And I'm excited to get a little revenge on Tom Brady down in Tampa because we know what happened.
So.
We know what happened last time they were down there.
Yep.
So let's move on to our Sunday night matchup. We have Jimmy G. He's back with the San Francisco 49ers because Trey Lance is apparently made of glass, just like his North Dakota State counterpart, Carson Wentz. He's back, taking over, and leading his team up against the kind of hapless 1-1 Denver Broncos. Currently, the San Francisco 49ers are 1.5-point road favorites, which is that says a lot about this Denver team. I think. I don't think that they're a well-coached team. I think there's a lot of things that are not clicking there in Denver. But who you got, man?
Right now I have the 49ers. Part of me wants to look and see what the status of that George Kittle injury is and if he is going to be missing the game. So it looks like that there is some optimism there. So they might be able to. Oh wait, no, that was. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, for me it depends a lot on George Kittle. I'm still waiting. I'm waiting for it to happen. I truly think that there's going to be a game where this Broncos team comes out, everything starts to click, and it goes, and we all look at them and say, "Oh, this is who this team is." Because I just truly believe in this team that much, and maybe it is just a new head coach trying to figure it out. Maybe he doesn't figure it out, but
I think Hackett's a bad coach. I don't think that they. I truly believe that they really were banking on Hackett bringing over Aaron Rodgers and Rodgers being there, because I don't think they make that coaching hire if you're not banking on that. Mainly because this guy, he had one season as offensive coordinator there in Green Bay. And so it's not like this is a seasoned, like he's been around for a couple years. He's made some incredible things happen for different teams. Like this is a guy that has very little experience as a higher up on a coaching staff, and now you're giving him reins to the entire team. And again, I think the only reason you do that is because you think that Aaron Rodgers is coming with him, which didn't work out that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I've still got the 49ers in this one. I think when I went through and made my picks originally before the season started, I gave this one to the Broncos because I thought pretty highly of the Broncos, and I thought these teams would split these games at home. But the 49ers, I think with Jimmy G back, I think this team, it honestly makes me more confident in my prediction of them going to the Super Bowl, is having Jimmy G back, having that connection, having the ability to rely on the known comfort that is Jimmy Garoppolo. That we talked about it. I think that he gets maybe a little bit unnecessarily slandered, but maybe slandered on purpose, maybe slandered accurately. But I don't hate Jimmy G as a quarterback. So for that reason, I have the 49ers traveling up that mile high in the stadium to overcome Denver and get the dub.
Yep. I also have the Niners over Denver.
Yeah.
I just think they're the better team currently.
Yeah. You
So
can go out Luna if you want.
Listen, I'm trying. We have one game left. I'm trying to finish. Go.
Okay.
Moving on to Monday night, we have the Dallas Cowboys making their way out to New Jersey to face the New York Football Giants. 2-0 New York Giants. I don't remember the last time the Giants were 2-0. I think it's been a couple years. But maybe Brian Dabble is the right hire out there, and he's turned around that environment. Maybe he can make Daniel Jones look like a serviceable quarterback. We both believe in Danny Dimes.
We do.
I think this is an interesting matchup. I don't love this Cowboys team with Cooper Rush as quarterback. I think they're going to struggle, but I don't know if they're good enough to beat the Giants where they're currently at. Currently, New York are 2.5-point favorites. That's probably about accurate. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's terrible that we get this as a Monday night game, but the schedules are set before we know injuries.
Yeah. Not that this game. I think this game's only a better game because Dak is out. It makes me interested in it.
That's probably accurate, yeah. But who you got, man?
I'm going with the kid. I'm going with Danny Dimes. I'm gonna pick the Giants to start the season 0-3, which is I feel like a buffoon that I'm saying it out loud, but I would feel dumb picking the Cowboys without Dak Prescott and with Cooper Rush in his second start. I don't think that that's a good fit at all, especially when the Giants have looked capable. I don't want to call them good yet. I want to watch them first. I haven't sat down and watched. I'm excited. That's what excites me about them being the Monday night game is I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch this Giants team. I'm going to say, okay, what redeemable qualities do you have on defense? What are you doing on offense other than just Danny Dimes overperforming what everyone thought he was, other than the two of us on this podcast?
Well, Saquon's also looked good coming back. He's looked healthy.
Yeah.
He's had some solid plays.
He was slow against Carolina getting started last week until that fourth quarter when they made the surge to come back. He had a pretty slow day until that. But yeah, week one he looked unbelievable. So it'll be interesting to see. Again, you said you're sad that this is a Monday night game. I'm kind of excited. I'm excited to see what this Giants team has, and hopefully Danny Dimes can shine like the dime he is in prime time. Prime time, Danny Dimes. Let's go. I'm here for it.
I also have the Giants winning this, which is crazy to me that I'm picking this New York Giants team to get to 3-0 when I think
that we both did.
I think I only gave them 3 wins on the whole season in our preview episodes. But they're in a good spot right now. I don't love them. I think there's still a lot of flaws. I think that they've gotten the benefit of facing 2
subpar teams,
weak opponents, and I think they're getting the benefit of facing the third one in Dallas without Dak. I am interested to see how Danny Dimes performs against that defense. I think that Micah Parsons is going to make life very difficult for him, but I'm kind of becoming a believer in Brian Dabble. What he did in Buffalo obviously was fantastic with Josh Allen and the boys. And if he can bring over some of that magic to this offense, because there is some playmakers between Danny Dimes and Saquon back there, those are 2 solid
Kevon Tooney?
Solid figures. Kevon Tooney, yes, absolutely. It does look like they're probably moving on from Kenny Golladay, which is fine because he was a terrible free agent signing. But I think they're in a good spot, and I'm picking the Giants, and it feels weird, and it feels wrong.
Weird,
and it's not something I should be doing, but I'm doing it anyways.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna get in trouble. Picking the Giants.
But that brings us to the end of our week 3 picks. Some good games this week. I'm gonna miss a lot of them because I'll be out of town. Because apparently that's what I'm doing now. I'm just a busy person and I'm all over the place. My September has been crazy, but this is like the last big thing, and it's gonna be fun. Music festival. I'm here for it. But I'm gonna miss a lot of games on Sunday. I'll see a couple of the primetime matchups, but
Yeah.
um,
I'll make up for it with being just super engaged.
yeah, you're gonna have to be.
Yeah,
But
got it. I got you.
as always, we appreciate you listening and tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks for hanging out with us. If you're not watching on YouTube, follow us on YouTube. We start every Tuesday right around 8 o'clock. You can watch us record the podcast live. If that's not your thing, you just want to listen to us, that's awesome. We appreciate that too. Thanks for listening. However you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, whatever you're doing. And if you want, you can follow us on our social medias that we don't use, or you can hop into our Discord where we're very, very active, and we will get into all kinds of sports arguments. But as always, I think that's that.
That's that. Got it that time. Got the that's that time.